This video is brought to you by Altium 365, where the world designs electronics, and Octopart, the fastest search engine for electronic parts.
Resolving the violations. As the designer, you have to work out the most appropriate way of resolving each design rule violation. Let's start with the solder mask errors, as they are related and both error conditions may be affected by the changes you make to the solder mask settings. The minimum solder mask silver violations, wherein the solder mask is a thin, lacquer-like layer applied to the outer surface of the board, providing a protective and insulating covering for the copper. Openings are created in the mask for components and wires to be soldered to the copper. It is these openings that are displayed as objects on the solder mask layer in the PCB editor. Note that the solder mask layer is defined in the negative. The objects you see become holes in the actual solder mask. During fabrication, solder mask is applied using different techniques. The lower cost approach is to silk screen it into the board surface through a mask. To allow for layer alignment issues, the mask openings are typically larger than the pads, reflected by 4 mil or negative 0.1 mm, which is the expansion value used in the default design rule. Now, there are other techniques for applying solder mask, which offer higher quality layer registration and more accurate shape definition. If these techniques are used, the solder mask expansion can be smaller or even zero. Reducing the mask opening reduces the chance of having solder mask silvers or silk to solder mask clearance errors. Errors such as these solder mask issues cannot be resolved without consideration of the fabrication technique that will be used to make the finished board. For example, if this was a complex multi-layer board for a high-value product, then it is likely that a high-quality solder mask technology will be employed, which would allow a small or zero solder mask expansion. However, a simple double-sided board like the board in this tutorial is more likely to be fabricated as a low-cost product, requiring a low-cost solder mask technology to be used. That means resolving the solder mask silver errors by reducing the solder mask expansion for the entire board is not an appropriate solution. Like many aspects of PCB design, the solution lies in the making thoughtful trade-offs in a focused way to minimize their impact.